Tesla, my Esla, longtime shareholder of Tesla. We've got results out here. I need to go through the most important numbers, show you guys what's going on here with Tesla. Elon Musk had some major announcements on the Tesla conference call that honestly changed Tesla's complete trajectory for the next several years that we need to run through. And it's very important. And I think some of this stuff is kind of like people aren't even like listening to some of the stuff that's going on because these are fundamental changes in regards to Tesla's future that we got to talk about in this video here today. So we're going to start out the video going through all of that. From there, I want to go ahead and react to this video. Dan Ives about an hour ago went on CNBC and spoke about his opinion on Tesla's numbers and kind of their future and whatnot. And then this gentleman from ARK Invest, which is well known from Cathie Wood, he went on to speak about Tesla's robotaxi opportunity, what that does to the financials of the business. I want to go ahead and react to that, share my opinions and perspectives. It is busy times, folks. We got earnings left and right all over the place. Appreciate everybody joining me. As always, only one thing only I need from you guys. Smash that like button, hit that like button, and hit that like button again. I appreciate y'all for being here. Thank you for being subscribed. Pin comment down there. Free little checklist if you want a free checklist on everything I look for in a stock before I go ahead and buy it. Free checklist that will be pinned comment down there today. Okay, so Tesla Tesla, right? Longtime shareholder, has done me tremendous. Obviously, I own a very, very small amount of shares compared to what I used to own, back before it made its, obviously, its epic run, right? And, always very, very grateful for, Tesla being such a successful investment. And so I still hold 777 shares in the public count, about $184,000. $174,000 of that's profits. And then I also hold some shares in the Patreon portfolio as well. It's probably less than 10% of what I used to hold, a few years ago, right? So in regards to Tesla, the numbers, listen, garbage, straight garbage. I told you guys it was going to be garbage. If you follow me on X, right, which I always have linked in the description area of all my videos. If you follow me on the main channel, and if you even follow me on the reaction channel, I believe I even told you guys everything that was going to play out on these Tesla earnings before they even came out. I said the numbers are going to be trash. If they give anything around guidance, it's going to be trash, which we didn't get much as far as that goes. It's really all about Elon Musk and what he has to say here. So the numbers are bad, right? Revenue was a miss by a mile. They did $19.3 billion. They're expected to do well over $21 billion. EPS was a miss by a mile. Like they were supposed to do like 42 cents, 27 cents. Major misses there. The income statement, I might be too generous giving them a D-. This was really bad. Revenues went down to $19.3 billion total revenues compared to $21.3 billion the same quarter last year. Keep in mind, Tesla's supposed to be a growth company. We're several growth businesses. And the company has revenues in decline by $2 billion. It's a disaster. It's a dumpster fire, right? Gross profit down to $3.1 billion from about $3.7 billion the same quarter last year. If we go ahead and take a peek at net income, $409 million from almost $1.4 billion. If we look at diluted EPS, 41 cents in the same quarter last year, 12 cents in this quarter. Dumpster fire. D for dumpster fire. And like I said, that was pretty generous. I even gave them a D- in regards to that. Automotive revenues down 20% year over year. Awful. Now, positive, energy generation and storage revenue, 67% growth year over year. That's a phenomenal number. Keep in mind that business is decelerating now, though. The growth rate is starting to decelerate. And so, that business had been growing at like 100% plus clip. Now we're down to 67%. And then if you look on a quarter over quarter basis, that business was actually down. So the moral of the story is the numbers are still phenomenal there, but if they don't get that business back rolling here very, very shortly, we could be looking at energy generation and storage revenue that starts to flatline, folks. Flatline. No one's even looking at this stuff. And I'm like, becomes a game of math. They just did $2.7 billion. Keep in mind, they're going to have to comp next quarter against a $3 billion number. So now to show any sort of major growth, they're going to need to do like $4 billion plus next quarter. I don't know if they're going to have a $4 billion type quarter next quarter, which means we could see an energy storage business actually flatline or very slight growth, or worst case scenario, actually start to decline on a year over year basis. This is important, man. Very, very important. That's one of the very few bright spots for Tesla over the past number of years. Services and other revenue was up 15%. Good number, but not good compared to what Tesla had been posting. We had been thinking like 20, 30% growth there. So 15%, little disappointing, I got to be honest with you, right? So Not ideal. And then look at what we're going to have to start comping against. Services and other revenue did 2.6 billion. Guess what? In Q2 of last year, 2.6 billion. So all of a sudden, services and other revenue next quarter, dude, we might be talking about single digit growth. We could be talking about flatlining or down. Like I don't think we're going to go down as far as services and other revenue, but is it possible we flatline it or very single digit growth? That's honestly a realistic possibility. And so do keep that in mind, man. These are like major things, and I don't even think people are honestly looking at these numbers. Total GAAP gross margins for the company down 104 basis points, down to 16.3%. The only glimmer of good news in regards to that is if you look at Q4, basically total GAAP gross margin is the same number, 16.3%. So some positive there that it's not continuing to go down. Now, if you look at operating margin, 2.1% for the company, absolutely dumpster fire number, right? I mean, just awful. This quarter last year wasn't even a good quarter. We did 5.5%. So now that we're down to 2.1%, no bueno. That's down 343 basis points year over year. Adjusted EBITDA margin, 14.6%, down 133 basis points year over year. If we look at on a GAAP basis, net income down 71% year over year. And keep in mind, this wasn't even like last year in this quarter wasn't even a great year for the numbers. That's the thing you understand. Like, even last year at this time, we were not having some booming like, oh, our business is so great. No, Tesla was already going through troubles. And so to see now 71% down on last year's numbers, which were not even impressive to begin with, is disastrous. Non-GAAP net income down 39% year over year. Now, glimmer of good news. Cash and cash equivalents and investments up 38% year over year, rate around $37 billion. Why is that important? What that means essentially is even though Tesla's going through really tough times right now, they're still able to invest into the business. It's very important. The company can still invest in the business. They can still, invest in Optimus and, robotaxis and all these things that are hopefully going to be the things of the future, right? And cheaper cars, whatever. And at the end of the day, like even cheaper cars is not the final solution right now for the company if you really look at the business model, because honestly, Tesla's now, as far as the United States perspective, Teslas are now some of the most affordable new cars you can buy in the market, or lease. Model 3 is now one of the most affordable, good quality vehicles you can literally buy. Same thing with Model Y. And the same thing when it comes to leasing, it's hard to compete with them. So I don't even think it's like pricing now at this point in time that is the issue in regards to Tesla. It's not like it was, 5 years ago when Tesla was known as an expensive vehicle. Oh, that's a vehicle people with a lot of money drive. Not anymore. Tesla's cheap now at this point in time, right? Now, some other important things here, right? Conference call got it off to a really bad start. Elon Musk starts talking about Doge this, Doge that, and, paid protesters are coming against me because, they're mad because I'm cutting expenses. No, Elon. He's just out there on a cloud. The reason so many people are pissed off at Elon Musk is because of so many of the ridiculous things he's posted on X over time that some people view as, anti-certain religions, anti-certain people in certain countries, all those sorts of things. It has nothing to do with, everybody's mad because I'm cutting it. No. People are pissed because of all the other crap you've been posting, dude. And he's just on some fairy cloud of thinking it's because of it. And no, it's not. Okay? They're mad because of these other things. It's ridiculous. Also, Elon Musk commits to starting to cut down time spent at Doge considerably in May, which is good news. Bad news, though, here is he also, right after that, he mentioned he's talking about spending 1 to 2 days at Doge for Trump's entire presidency. That's a fundamental change to Tesla's business model. We're talking that's Trump's going to be in office for almost another 4 years, right? That's a long time. And so to take 1 to 2 days at Doge for the next basically almost 4 years, not ideal. Not ideal, right? And plus, Elon's got a lot of other businesses that take his time, right? Plus all the other stuff he does. So at the end of the day, that means how much attention is Tesla really getting? Honestly, how much attention is Tesla really getting? 1 day a week, 2 days a week, right? Because we know SpaceX needs some. We know the Boring Company needs some, and what they're doing at Neuralink, and he owns X. Did we forget about that, right? And what they're doing at Grok and all the AI products. Oh my gosh. So the moral of the story is, if you were hoping Elon Musk is really going to focus in at Tesla, it honestly doesn't sound like it. It sounds like maybe he'll cut his time down a bit, but at the end of the day, he's still going to spend a lot of time on Doge for the next several years based upon what he said on the conference call. And he's got a ton of other companies. And so, Tesla's just going to not get the undivided attention we would hope for as shareholders, which means, who's really running the show? Who's really running the show? At the end of the day, when you're spending 1 day a week at your company or 2 days a week, other people are focused full time on that, and they will come in and they will beat you over time, right? And we'll get into that in just a moment in terms of competition and whatnot, right? Elon Musk has said that it's possible to sell 1 million Optimus per year by 2029 to 2030, right? I said I call BS, but we'd be happy to be wrong. Spoiler alert, I won't be, right? Somebody said, oh, why are you a hater? Why are you a hater, right? A hater, a person that greatly dislikes a specific person or thing. I've always loved Elon. Always loved Tesla. So certainly not me as far as a hater. But you know what I am not? I'm not a delusional person. And you got a lot of people that are delusional people in regards to Elon and Tesla and everything that's going on here. A delusional person holds persistent, fixed beliefs that are not based on reality and are resistant to change even when presented with contradictory evidence, okay? The moral of the story is a delusional person is clueless, right? They're just like, I'm this way, right? I could say, I'm going to be the richest person in the world in 4 years. I'm a multi-millionaire. Look at how much my net worth's gone up over the next 10 years. I'm going to be the richest person in the world in 4 years. I could say that, right? I'm going to be richer than Elon Musk. Am I delusional if I said that? Yes. That's a delusional statement. And so when Elon throws out these things, you got to understand this man was promising, robotaxis on this stuff like 100 years ago. This is nothing new. Like, he's been predicting this stuff for a long time, and we're still not even to the point of actually having these in the market. We're hoping we're getting closer, but and so all these predictions about we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Stop it, man. Just stop it. It's ridiculous. Okay? Optimus could be a big thing at some point in the 2030s, in the 2040s, then we can talk. But if you think it's going to be any time in the next, 4 or 5 years and some mass production, they're going to be all over the place and, cleaning your yard for you, dream on. Okay, dream on. And so it's just ridiculous. You can't be delusional. Delusional people do not do well with money over time. They don't. You've got to be realistic. You can look at the world glass half full, but don't be delusional. And that's what the issue is. A lot of people are delusional, and it's going to come back to bite them. Now it leads us to competition. If I looked at Tesla 5 years ago, I would say Tesla was 5 years ahead of the competition. And they truly were, right? And Steve Jobs, he put Apple 5 years ahead of the competition before he passed away, right? But then eventually companies started to catch up to Apple, right? And because Elon Musk has really taken his eye off the prize over the last 3 years, it's allowed other competitors to essentially come in and actually start to compete in the market, whereas the competition is coming, used to be a joke in regards to Tesla. We used to laugh at that years ago. I can't even laugh at that anymore. The fact is, I look at competition even in the US, I'm like, crap, man, they're really catching up. I'm looking at some of these EVs starting to come to market with some of the ranges they have, some of the features they have, and I'm like, dude, they're not that far behind now at this point in time. It used to be a joke. It's not a joke anymore. And then in China also the competition used to be a joke. It used to be not as far behind as the US and Europe. But I'll be honest with you guys, the Chinese competition I wouldn't even view the Chinese competition as behind Tesla anymore. When you look at what the Chinese companies have in the market now, you would say those are actually pretty dang comparable to a Tesla. You would say, well, maybe you choose a Tesla, maybe you choose this car, but there's not a lot of difference. The Chinese are right there neck and neck now at this point in time with Tesla. And the U.S. competition is not far behind. And I'm just telling you guys, 5 years ago, that was not the situation. 7 years ago, Tesla was so far ahead. But because Elon Musk has taken his eye off the prize and he wants to focus on Doge and focus on X and all this stuff he's been focusing on and getting more into politics, he's let these other guys catch up. And it's ridiculous, man, because it should have never happened. It should have never happened, right? No, he also said in the conference call, and I posted this on my X a little while ago, I said, Elon Musk, he was talking about basically a Tesla probably cost, 25% or 20% of what a Waymo costs, because they're talking about, competition as far as the rideshare market, robotaxi opportunity, right? So, or Waymo's way more expensive than a Tesla. Yes. Now, there could be debate, is it 50% or 70%, whatever the number is, yes. But here's where I'll push back. I can go ride Waymos in several cities right now. Several cities, major cities right now. And I've done it. And the product's pretty dang good. They're in the market today, making money today. Okay? And they're expanding rapidly across major cities across the United States. They're really becoming like the first big player that everybody's going to know in terms of getting into a car, and the car's going to drive me somewhere without a driver inside. Okay? That's happening today. The other thing I'll say about this is Waymo has way more ability to cut down on that cost over the next 5-10 years. Tesla is not going to be able to cut costs that much on vehicles now at this point in time because they've been working on that tremendously over the years. So Tesla now, to go from, say it costs them $25,000 to make a Model 3. Let's just say that's a number, right? Like for them to go to $25,000 to $20,000, hard, very, very hard, because they've already focused so much on the cost of the vehicles. It's getting very, very difficult for them to bring down cost anymore now. Okay. Waymo, if we're talking about them cutting down the cost from, let's say, $100,000 down to $50,000, way easier for them to do that than Tesla to go from 25 to 20, essentially, right? So that's where I'll push back against that. And so, Waymo, and I feel like even here in Elon Musk's tonality, I still don't think he's taken Waymo nearly serious enough. And I think if he was really actually taking this more serious, I don't think he would be doing Doge and all this other mumbo jumbo he's really doing. I think he's taking a very egotistical approach in regards to what's going on here. And then Amazon's product is now starting to take off on the Las Vegas Strip, the city I live in, right? Las Vegas. And so Amazon's going to push hard against that for the next 5-10 years. So they're going to, and Tesla's going to have way more serious competition in this market than they had certainly in the automobile market. Like, who do you want to compete against? Ford, GM, massive debt-laden companies that are not known for innovation? That's easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's who Tesla's been competing with, right? And Chrysler and Dodge and Volkswagen, easy peasy lemon squeezy. You want to talk about competing against Google, competing against Amazon? Those are the competitors Tesla's about to go against. Uber? Dude, this is a whole other level. There's a whole other level, right? And by the way, Tesla still is actually at small volumes compared to actually the Fords and the GMs and the Volkswagens and those sorts of companies in regards to total vehicles sold. And that's way easier competition. Now you're going to have to compete against a Google, Uber, Amazon, like, whoo, boy, like we're talking, there's levels, right? And now this is going to be the big boy leagues. And so Elon's been way too boast his chest out like, oh, we got this whole game on lock. And I'm like, dude, these guys are in the market today. You can hop in their vehicles today and get rides. Not in a year from now, not in 3 years from now, not in 5 years from now, today. And so, I think that's very, very important that everybody understands that, right? Now, in regards to Tesla stock, and then we'll get into the reactions of the videos here, stock's up about 5% after hours. Stock could go right back down, in terms of, a few days from now or a week from now, whatever. What we needed to hear on the conference call, we didn't really get to hear. We needed to hear that Elon Musk was going to be done with Doge, like in May or June, and that we needed him to come out and say, I'm going to focus my full attention on Tesla. Full attention. Doge, I made great progress. I got a good team in place there, and they're going to carry things out from here. If we could have heard that, man, then we're talking. But to hear like he's committed this thing for Trump's entire presidency, nah. You're about to go against Google and Amazon. You think you're going to win? We aren't even winning against the fucking Chinese. We're not even winning against the Chinese fucking competitors. He's getting his ass kicked now in China. And there was like 3-5 years ago, there was no way We were going to have like serious competition in China. Now we got serious competition with the Chinese. Are you serious? And now he's about to go against Google and Amazon. He thinks he's just going to part-time it? Part-time it? Against Google and Amazon? Good luck. Good luck, man. Like, he's got to step up his seriousness in a major way. And he's not. And when you don't step up your seriousness in a major way, you're going to wonder why, you didn't win the way you thought. And you're going to blame it on because you got into politics or whatever. And it's just like, dude, you got to at some point wake up and be like, shit, man, like, this is serious. Like, if we want to win this robotaxi opportunity, I better be spending 7 days a week at Tesla. And he's not committing to that. He's not committing to spending 7 days a week at Tesla. And that's what it's going to take if we're going to actually win this market and win this market around the globe, because this is a whole different level of competition, right? So, we didn't hear what we needed to hear. And if we had actually heard what we needed to hear, I mean, I think Tesla stock would have been up 20% after hours. I think it'd be just like, we're back, baby. Like, Elon's fully focused on Tesla moving forward, like, boom. But with a CEO that wants to play part-time, you're going to get part-time results. And that's exactly what we're getting. Garbage numbers, quarter after quarter. We blame it on this, we blame it on that, let's blame it on this. It's garbage, man. Company quarter in and quarter out posts garbage. It's not a debate. It's not an argument. These are trash numbers. Every quarter. Next quarter, trash numbers. Again. You know what the next quarter is going to be after that? Trash numbers. And what is Elon going to blame it on? Whatever. Maybe it's because you want to be a part-time CEO. And other guys are focused on being full-time CEOs. Disappointing, man. Disappointing. But it is what it is, man. And it shouldn't have been like this. It should not have had been like this.
Red Bush Securities. He has an outperform rating on the stock, but also a code red. Dan, margins, not great in this report. Inventories.
And the worst part is, and maybe it has to do with Elon's ego, there's no one to check him. Who's going to check him? It's Elon Musk. There's no one that has a big enough you-know-what to actually check him and be like, Elon, dude, you got to get your shit together. Like, just because you're the big dog, I got the big net worth, Tesla stock, blah, blah, blah. You think you're all this and that. You aren't. And your company's not. You're posting trash numbers quarter in and quarter out. You need to get your shit together. But no one's gonna say that's around him, because they're probably a bunch of yes men. And so they're like, okay, Elon, you want to be a part-time CEO, be a part-time CEO. You want to work 2 days a week, okay, that's fine.
Not great. Does it come down to the question of, by summer, do they have production of these cheap vehicles, and is Elon Musk to full attention?
Yeah, look, let's call it. This quarter was a disaster. And the delivery quarter, that significantly missed the street, and you look at margins and others, it's really about going forward in terms of 2Q, 3Q, 4Q. But look, $100 overhang per share if Musk stays in government, Doge, even as an advisory, or leaves. So to me, the most important thing on this call is not numbers. It's Musk on the call recommitting to Tesla as a CEO.
And he did.
And ultimately saying that he is going to leave the Trump administration we believe by the end of May.
Is your outperform at stake?
The only thing he committed to was being a part-time CEO.
On that issue.
Yeah, look, I think if he stays and he doubles down and recommits, then I think this starts to become an avalanche that you can't control, because the brand damage we've talked about, we think it's about 15-20% brand damage. And the point is, if we weren't bullish, then we wouldn't care. My whole thing is, you're talking about, along with NVIDIA, one of the best disruptive technology companies in the world. Talk about autonomous robotics. But the big question here is, in terms of that lower cost vehicle that you talked about, like, does that come? They did commit to it in the call, and we'll see in terms of the press release. Do tariffs impact it? How do tariffs impact ultimately when you look at Cybercab, robotaxi, and others? These are the keys as someone that's part of the administration.
A couple of things there. The first I'm going to start with is, if you've had brand damage to Tesla, and that's tied to Elon Musk and how far he's waded into politics, does him coming back full-time to Tesla actually help the brand?
Well, I believe there'll be brand damage permanently, and there's no doubt. Yeah. But you could contain it He could recommit. You talk about everything that's going on here in terms of the opportunities around autonomous, lower cost vehicles, cybercab, everything else. Musk needs to drive that. And I think the reality is that brand damage will continue to be there, but that will be contained. If he continues to go down this path over the coming months, years, that's where it starts to go down a very dark path. And that's why we've talked about it, loudly. As someone that's a huge supporter of Tesla, you have so much good ahead. But now leaders lead, and at the end of the day, Musk needs to lead. Tesla is Musk, and Musk is Tesla.
How is Tesla...
And if you want to know why he's not taking it serious enough, I'll tell you exactly why. Because Tesla's still a $600, $700 billion company, whatever it is, right? Would you take it seriously? Like, my company's fine. They're like, market cap's like $700 billion, one of the biggest market caps in the whole world. Where's your incentive to take it serious? You're one of the biggest market caps in the world. You know what would get Elon Musk to actually take this serious? If Tesla stock really crashed, another 50%. Take this back down to $100 or so without even the market getting damaged. Because if the whole market was going down significantly, right, then people would just look at it like he would just look at it as, oh, the whole market's crashing, so that's okay, our stock's down. No. Just have Tesla stock crash. Have that baby go down to $100. And I bet you Elon would start taking things a lot more serious, a lot more quickly. But as long as people are willing to just continue to buy the stock and hold the stock, regardless of, the bad numbers quarter in, quarter out, he's just got no incentive to take it serious. Because he's like, whatever, they're going to buy the stock anyways. The perfect example is After Hours. After Hours stock up 5%. That's Elon Musk saying, see, so what, our numbers are a disaster and they're going to continue to be a disaster. But, I told them that, Optimus is eventually going to come and be a big thing. And I told them robotaxi is eventually going to be a big thing. And they just bought it. There's no incentive there. No incentive.
They impacted. I realize there's, knock-on effects and, sales effects and retaliation in certain markets, et cetera. But how is Tesla directly impacted by tariffs? Is it these automaker tariffs? Is it supply chain tariffs? I mean, Musk's companies, Tesla included, are sort of famously vertically integrated and homegrown supply chains.
Well, I think the reality is, and we've talked about, is the view that Tesla or any other U.S. car manufacturer has all their parts from the U.S., that's a fairy tale, right? And the reality is a lot of those parts come from abroad. And when you think about these new vehicles that they're producing, as well as when you look at cybercab, it depends on parts that come from China, where the materials come from. And we've talked a lot about them. Where the raw materials come from? They come from New Jersey? They come from China. So the reality is...
Remember a few years ago, Elon Musk was talking about the business is going to grow 50% a year. Remember that? The funny thing is, not even remotely close to 50%. Not only that, but the business is literally in massive decline. Massive decline. Multi-billion dollars down year over year. Crazy, man. Crazy.
That's why
and it didn't have to be this way. That's it didn't have to be this way.
Very important. Also, what's the hearts and lungs of Tesla? Where's the growth? It's China. Does retaliatory happen? And that's all part of it. Tesla's becoming a political symbol. This is the time for Musk. Draw the line in the sand.
And he didn't do it.
In my opinion.
I think you're saying there's...
If anything, he put a stake in the ground even more. The way that conference call started...
dollar per share upside if Elon Musk focuses back on Tesla. What's the downside if he doesn't?
It's a dark downside if he recommits, because then you start to have something where brand damage becomes worse and worse, retaliatory in terms of China, because ultimately, at the end of the day, Tesla's become a political symbol around the world.
It has.
So for Musk, this is a fork in the road moment. I believe, there's a lot of important conference calls that he's had. I think it's the most important conference call he's ever had because of the political damage in terms of the brand damage that he's created as part of an administration where the tariffs are hurting Tesla.
Yeah. All right, next one up here.
As the firm's top holding. Brett, great to speak with you.
Great to speak with you.
Tesla's about 12% of the portfolio. I'm wondering, Brett, I understand that you're a long-term investor. You want to see the robotaxi story explained a little bit more, the lower production, lower cost vehicle, et cetera. Does the automotive business right now, right here, right now, have to work in order for those future bets to pay off?
Well, I love to hear the skepticism amongst the panel here, because nobody mentioned the most important data point, which is they reaffirmed the launch of robotaxi in June in Austin. And the way to think about this, the automotive business is important because you need to deliver units into the market, which they already have millions in play, that will become prospective robotaxis as they software update the vehicles. The entire business model of this company is going to transform as and if robotaxi launches, where you go from a one-time sale of a vehicle, as the panelists mentioned, at low margin, to generating ongoing revenue off of every vehicle in fleet over time. And it just transforms the business. So the marginally important news is, can they launch and can they scale that business successfully? We think the evidence is in play that they can, given the acceleration in AI. And we think that delivering incremental vehicles into the market, for now is good to build up that base that will become robotaxis. And in the future, that'll become the robotaxi capability will be a demand driver for their production. They're actually going to be production constrained again to a material extent, in our view, once robotaxi begins to scale across the U.S.
Robotaxi will not make the company money in the short term, even when this starts to launch. They'll take, likely, in my opinion, losses for several years in regards to the robotaxi business. Everybody's assuming from day one, they're going to be making so much money. They're going to be making so much. No. As with all businesses, you lose money at first. That's just the way it is. And so you think Waymo's been making money? No. You think Tesla's going to? No, they're not going to make money, because here's what Tesla's going to have to do. In order to really build a big base and get people really excited about using Tesla's robotaxi network, when that is finally launched in any sort of scale in markets, they're going to have to significantly undercut competition. Then they're going to have a bunch of crap that happens. If you think the vehicles are going to drive perfect, no. There's going to be situations that happen. People are going to get hit. Lawsuits are going to happen. Big legal expenses are going to happen. They're going to do some crap that, regulations don't agree with here and there in different states and different cities. And at the end of the day, then they're going to get big fines, and then they're going to have maintenance issues. There's going to be a million things that in the first few years are going to cause a company to actually lose money on that. And so, people are just delusional, completely delusional. Oh, we're going to make so much money. It's just going to be pouring in. I'm just geez, but it's a lot of people that never built a business. A lot of these people making these predictions about this, the thing I realized, they've never actually even run a business. Truly. They've never run a business, so they don't understand even how the financials will work when you start a business.
So Brett, you love to hear the skepticism. I love to hear the optimism, because as a futurist, it just seems like pie in the sky sort of stuff. I mean that sincerely, because you've been following this company, you've been invested in this company for a long time. And when have they ever hit any of the targets that you suggest? And by the way, you need to make this transition. And Mel started off asking the question, they have never had their core business so bad. It's never been this bad. And if it continues to get worse in a protracted trade war, you're just not going to have the ability to invest in robotaxi and Optimus, whatever the crap that you guys think is going to happen at some point. So
I agree with Dan on some of that, but in terms of reinvesting, no, they're good. They got $37 billion sitting around. So they can continue to reinvest in the business, even when, the business is complete garbage right now.
I'm just curious how you think of that, because you are the futurist, and I guess maybe I sound a little cynical.
Well, one, I think you're wrong that their business has never been in worse shape. If you look at their share of overall vehicle sales, they're roughly flat. Trailing 12-month vehicle sales, they're roughly flat. As they deliver a lower cost vehicle, they should...
Dude, roughly flat is not good enough for Tesla. Roughly flat? Come on, man. That's not good enough. Elon used to talk about we're growing 50% a year a few years ago. Come on, man. Now we're talking about roughly flat's good? No.
Sell more units in, just on the kind of demand elasticity curve. And as they continue to drive down production costs, I think they'll deliver, less costly vehicles to the market. And those vehicles will be utilized more. The fundamental case is when you buy a new car, you're basically buying a bundle of miles at 75 cents a mile. If you could have somebody drive you around for $1 a mile, that's a great deal, and everybody will take that. And so once robotaxis in the market, then they become a point-to-point transportation provider rather than just a seller of hardware assets. And
another delusional point, like assuming everybody's just going to want to take robotaxis around and not have their own vehicles. No, like that would be cool. And as a Tesla shareholder, I'd be happy if that happened. But no, a lot of people are still going to want to drive cars for years and decades to go in the future. Like you could have massive amounts of Waymos and Teslas and Zooks from Amazon and all these different companies, right? And Uber's driving around with no drivers. At the end of the day, plenty of people are still going to want to drive their own vehicles. And it's going to be like that for decades to go in the future. So there'll be a growing market. But if you think like everybody's just going to give up the keys to their vehicles and just take robo-taxis around, like delusional, like completely delusional. Like it's just ridiculous, man. It is ridiculous. Like wild.
It forms the business model and begins to spit off cash flow to fund Optimus and to continue to fund the AI data centers. So we don't see any cash flow issue for the business at all in terms of their ability to fund, ongoing CapEx and R&D operations.
Brett, we're just about out of time, but in order for me to understand your bet on the robotaxi, I have to understand what you think the robotaxi business will look like, because it seems like there are barriers that Tesla cannot control when it comes to regulate local laws regarding self-driving vehicles, what sort of platform it'll use to interface with potential people who want to take robotaxi rides. I just don't understand how this actually will operate.
Well, Waymo's operating today, and the only reason they're not at larger scale is they don't have enough hardware assets. Waymo's great. I ride it in LA all the time. I would trust my kids in a Waymo, whereas I wouldn't in an Uber. Tesla has a benefit against Waymo in that they're going to be able to deliver a less costly hardware.
It's not to say the only reason Waymo's not way more scaled out than it is because they're lacking, hardware vehicles. It's also baloney. Like there's so much that goes into it. You got to get approval from these cities to launch your vehicles all around. You got to also come in with the marketing behind it to make people aware like those vehicles are in the market. You've got to have teams in place to make sure those vehicles are operated well, they're maintained, they're cleaned, all that stuff. Like to just act like, it's because they can't get enough cars. No, that's baloney, man. Like, but if people don't research this stuff, they'll just believe that. Like, that's why, huh? No, it's a lot more
which will determine their price per mile they're able to charge. Waymo is still charging Uber-like prices, and they have an abundance of assets. So you won't have to wait 10 or 15 minutes to get a Tesla robotaxi. It'll be available immediately. We think Tesla's going to launch their own app that people will download and use in competition with Uber and Lyft. And that individual owners will be incentivized to put their vehicle into the fleet to make a few extra bucks on the car that they already own. And that's how Tesla will complete its network, whereas Waymo has to partner with the likes of Uber to do so. So Waymo's already basically cut down the wheat in the regulatory pathway. And we think they're going to launch Texas and California this year. Those are two very big states. So they'll have a lot of ability to scale within those and probably multiple states over the course of the next few years.
Yeah, and some people will definitely utilize that. By the way, pin comment down there if you want that checklist on things I look for in a stock. That will be pinned comment down there. It's free to access that. So there will be some people that definitely do that, right? That will be like, hey, I'm not using my Tesla on the weekends or whatever, so it can go drive people around. There's going to be people that do that. That's going to be a thing, right? But it's not. Let's not even act like it's close to everybody, because you got to understand some people are not going to want other people driving around throwing up in their car and this and that, and coming in and out and messing up the seats and all the wear and tear and all that stuff. So some people will do it. Some people will say heck no, right? Like no way. Or they'll try it out and they'll be like bad experience, and they'll be like no way, I'm not doing that again, right? And so, you do have to understand that. So moral of the story is here in regards to Tesla, it's a mess, man. It's a mess. And it just sucks because it didn't have to be this way, right? It just didn't have to be this way, but it is the way it is. And so, hope for the best. But man, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, man. Really, really tough. Like what would Tesla stock price need to be today for me to say I'm going to go buy Tesla stock? At this stage, it's got to be under $100. Much love as always, and have a great day.